आज हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मेजर जनरल विक्रम डोगरा। उन्हें प्रेसिडेंट द्वारा अतिथि विशिष्ट सेवा मेडल से नवाजा गया है and he's also popularly known as the Iron Man, and we'll get to it just in a bit कि क्यों उन्हें आयरन मैन से बुलाया जाता है। और चलिए आपसे वार्तालाप शुरू करते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच ईट माई न्यूज़ में आने के लिए और फॉर बीइंग अ पार्ट ऑफ टॉक विद तान्या।
Thank you, Tanya. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to this interaction with you and your viewers.
Fantastic. So, firstly, I want you to. I know you've retired from the army now after approximately 40 long years of service. तो आप अगर रिकॉल कर सकते हैं कि आपका सबसे मेमोरेबल इंसिडेंट क्या था आपकी जिंदगी में आर्मी में?
आर्मी में हर रोज एक कोई ना कोई इंसिडेंट होता है, and they are all very very memorable. But if you were to ask me which was the most memorable, then I will put my finger on two of them. तो दो थे। एक तो जब मैं आर्मी में कमीशन हुआ था, IMA से जब मैं पास आउट हुआ था 1981 में, तो वो दिन बहुत ही स्पेशल था क्योंकि फॉर्चुनेटली उस दिन के ऊपर मैंने परेड भी कमांड की थी, पासिंग आउट परेड। मेरे को सोर्ड ऑफ ऑनर मिला, मेरे को गोल्ड मेडल भी मिला था, और उसके अलावा 4 और मेडल मेरे को मिले थे। एंड नॉट ओनली दैट, आई मेट माय वाइफ इन IMA when I was a GC in my third term. So in 1981, I also met my wife. So that, and she was there for my passing out because her father was the principal in that academy. So that occasion was really, really memorable, and I can recall it very, very clearly. And the second day, which I say is the most memorable, was the day I hung up my boots. And that was on 31st of January 2019, जिस दिन मैं रिटायर हुआ था। और उस दिन जो सेरेमनी हुई थी, मेरी वाइफ ने उसके बाद शाम को एक पार्टी दी थी मेरे लिए। मेरे बहुत जितने नज़दीक के दोस्त थे, फ्रेंड्स थे, वो सारे आए थे, और मैंने अपनी यूनिफॉर्म पहनी लास्ट टाइम के लिए, और वहाँ पे फिर सेरेमोनियली मैंने यूनिफॉर्म को उतारा। सो दैट वाज अ वेरी वेरी नॉस्टैल्जिक मोमेंट, and I will rate these two as the two memorable events of my life.
आपको बहुत सारे अवार्ड्स और मेडल्स मिले हुए हैं, तो आई एम यू बीन एन ओवर अचीवर इन योर लाइफ, आई मस्ट से दैट। और हाँ, तो अब मैं व्यूअर्स को बताना चाहती हूँ और आपसे भी इसका एक्सपीरियंस जानना चाहती हूँ। सो मेजर जनरल विक्रम डोगरा participated in Iron Man, which is one of the most gruesome and toughest competitions in the world. उन्होंने बहुत 17 घंटे का ये कंपटीशन होता है, जो आई थिंक इन्होंने करीब 14 साढ़े 14 घंटे में खत्म कर दिया था, और 2 बार ही ब्रोक हिज ओन रिकॉर्ड द सेकंड टाइम इन जर्मनी। इन्होंने ऑस्ट्रिया और जर्मनी में पार्टिसिपेट किया, तो जिसमें मेरे ख्याल से आपने साइकिलिंग, स्विमिंग और रनिंग उसका पार्ट होता है। तो इतनी फिटनेस के लिए तो आई थिंक काफी मेहनत करनी पड़ती है। सो सबसे पहला मेरा सवाल है कि ये आपने क्यों किया? व्हाई डिड यू वांट टू गो फॉर दिस? और दूसरा, इसके लिए आपकी प्रेपरेशन कैसी थी?
तो सबसे पहले मैं बताना चाहूंगा आयरन मैन इवेंट क्या होता है। आपने रफली बताया है, बट आई थिंक व्यूअर्स को एग्जैक्ट मालूम होना चाहिए कि क्यों इसको आयरन मैन इवेंट बोलते हैं। सो ये विश्व का सबसे डिफिकल्ट वन डे एंड्योरेंस इवेंट माना जाता है। इसमें 3.8 किलोमीटर्स आपको स्विमिंग करनी होती है, जो कि या तो समुद्र में होती है या कोई बड़ी सी झील में होती है। उसके बाद 180 किलोमीटर आपको साइकिलिंग करनी है, और ये 180 किलोमीटर जो साइकिलिंग है, ये कोई फ्लैट टेरेन में नहीं होती। द टेरेन इज वेरी अंडुलेटिंग, एंड नॉर्मली यू विल एंड अप also gaining an elevation of maybe 5,000 6,000 feet. और उसके बाद आपको एक फुल मैराथन 42.2 किलोमीटर्स करनी होती है, और ये सारी तीनों इवेंट एक के बाद एक लगातार 17 घंटे के अंदर अंदर आपको पूरे करने हैं। So that is why it's called the Iron Man, and it's the most grueling one-day endurance event in the world. अब मैंने ये क्यों किया, आपका क्वेश्चन है, तो ये बहुत ही कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्वेश्चन है, मगर मैं ये बताना चाहूंगा कि जब आप किसी भी नौकरी में होते हो and you have spent a long time in that service, then there is very little challenge that that service has or which it puts at you. Because, 37 years, 40 years has taught you everything that that service really has challenging. So I found, जिस स्टेज के ऊपर मैं लाइफ में था, मेरी लाइफ में जो challenges at work थे वो बहुत कम या बिल्कुल ही खत्म हो गए थे. उसके अलावा जो challenges होते हैं वो घर पे होते हैं, वो भी मेरे लिए नेक्स्ट टू खत्म हो गए थे क्योंकि हम सेटल थे, मेरे बच्चे सेटल हो गए थे. सो आई वाज फाइंडिंग दैट आई एम इन अ सिचुएशन वेयर देयर आर हार्डली एनी challenges available to me, and I'm a man who requires a challenge all the while. So I found that I am like a boat which is moving, but I don't have a direction now, and I needed a direction in life. So I started looking around, क्या करूं मैं. मैंने काफी चीजें एक्सप्लोर की और ऐसा हुआ कि मेरे को एक यूट्यूब मिला एक लेडी का, जिसको आयरन नन के नाम से जाना जाता है, और वो एक प्रैक्टिसिंग नन है जो प्रीच करते हैं चर्च में. सो शी इज इन द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स एंड हर नेम इज सिस्टर मडोना. And Sister Madonna was introduced into running at the age of 48. And at 52 years, she went and did the first Ironman. And thereafter, she went on and did 40 Ironman events. And when I saw this YouTube, I was astonished. I said, if this lady at the age of 86 can do an Ironman, then, and Ironman का जैसे मैंने आपको डिस्टेंसेस बताए, इतने मुश्किल है वो इतना लंबा डिस्टेंस करना, तो मैंने कहा अगर ये औरत कर सकती है नन एट 86, तो मेरे को जरूर ट्राई करना चाहिए. और आई थिंक दिस विल बी अ गुड चैलेंज. एंड इसलिए आई गॉट इंस्पायर्ड बाय दिस लेडी एंड आई टुक ऑन द चैलेंज ऑफ डूइंग द आयरनमैन. ऑफ कोर्स इसके लिए ट्रेनिंग बहुत करनी पड़ती है, as you're aware, and I trained for 18 long months, day and night training. 18 months it took me, and so then I felt I was fit, and I went into the Ironman.
I think it's commendable. It's commendable that I think ये आपने 2018 में किया था, right? तो but at this age, I think it's commendable the level of fitness that you have, the level of discipline जो आपके पास है. इसकी I mean I personally have so much respect for it. तो जिस तरीके से मैं आपको समझ पा रही हूँ, आपको challenges बहुत पसंद हैं. तो अब आप रिटायर हो गए, आयरन मैन भी हो गया है, तो अब कहाँ से आप नए challenges अपने लिए ढूंढ रहे हैं और अगला क्या करने वाले हैं?
Well, मेरे लाइफ में अभी I think challenges start ही हुए हैं, because like I said, I look for challenges. So I had decided that I will go on a cycling trip around the world. 22,000 kilometers over 5 continents. I think about 25 odd countries would come in that. And that would take me about 10 months to 1 year. And that was to be my next challenge. But the pandemic has come, and therefore that challenge will now only manifest much later. In the meanwhile, I am going to do an Ironman again. I'm training for it. I'm ready for the next Ironman. But again, due to the pandemic, वो भी बंद हो रखे हैं, Ironman events नहीं हो रहे हैं. तो मेरे को लगता है 2022 में hopefully अगर ये खुल जाएगा, so I am looking at doing an Ironman in Sweden this time, and that is my next challenge. But now that we are in a pandemic and we are locked down, we have to be careful about going outside. So I have taken up a challenge of doing the plank. If you understand what the plank is, it's a plank is a position. And I used to do a plank of about 2-3 minutes. But now I have managed to do a plank of 38 minutes. And my aim is to do a plank of 65 minutes, because that is the record of the Indian Army. So this is the challenge I've given myself, and I'm working on it. Let's see. Hopefully, I should be able to improve from 38. 38 I've already done. It's on my YouTube. That can be seen there.
Wow. So my next question is, what do you eat? When do you wake up? When do you sleep? What does your day look like? How do you manage this? I understand training is one part of it, but your food, nutrition, your timings are also very important. So, what does your day look like?
I want to tell your viewers that, normally we have a misconception that it is somebody who's doing Ironman or who's training hard, then they wake up early in the morning and, they are very regimented and very precise in everything. It's not like that. I have a very relaxed, you know, routine. I start my workout at about 8:15 in the morning. I work out for an hour and a half at home. I never go to the gym. I never went to the gym even when I was training for the Ironman because I believe everything that you need to train on or do, you can do it at home. Just going to the gym wastes time. Firstly, you travel to the gym, then you meet somebody out there, you get involved with some kind of socializing, coming back. All that time can be effectively utilized to do it at home. So I'm training at home. So I train about an hour and a half in the morning. Uh, I also follow something called intermittent fasting, so that I can maintain my diet and my body, because as you grow older, your metabolism slows down. So you need to do things which can keep your metabolism going the way it is required for a high physical routine. So I eat, because of that, I eat my breakfast after my workout. So that is about around 10 o'clock, 9:30ish. And I finish my dinner at night by about 8 o'clock. So I managed to get about 14 hours between my dinner and my breakfast. I work out in the morning, like I said, an hour and a half. I work out in the evening about an hour uh, about this. And as far as diet is concerned, I eat everything. But what I focus on is that my body must get adequate protein. Now, protein there's a nice formula by which you can work out how much protein you need. And if you are working moderately, then you must take 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram weight of yours. So if you're 70 kgs, for example, and you are a moderate, you work out moderately, then 1.2 grams multiplied by 70 is the number of grams of protein you must consume in a day. If you work out a little more than moderate, that is intermediate, then about 1.4, 1.5. And if you're working out very intensely, then 1.7 grams per body weight, kg body weight. So I follow that very strictly. Strictly, I stick to about 1.5 grams of protein per body weight, and that I ensure. And the intake of protein, you all are aware, it can be non-veg, it can be eggs, it can be cheese, and a whole lot of other stuff is there. So I will not get into that part. So I just make sure that my protein levels are adequately taken care of. Beyond that, I don't look at, I have halwa, I have chocolates, I have all kind of foods, and I make sure that I burn it out. So when I do my workout, all that junk which I consume, so-called junk, which some people will say junk, I don't say it's junk, I say it's good stuff, because you can burn it out. It doesn't stick on the body if you can expend it. So don't be too fussy about what you eat, but make sure you eat protein, you have vitamins. So if you can't consume it in your normal food, have vitamin supplements, multivitamins, CalMag, zinc. It's very good for your recovery and for your body. And then, of course, the rest of it, your carbohydrates and all, which we all have, whether you're having rice, chapati, and other stuff like that. So that's the kind of diet I use.
Lovely. I think the message that we get from you is that there's no age to fitness. If you really take care of your body, and if at any given time anybody can really really work hard and uh, live a good lifestyle, at any age. So I think it's extremely commendable. Now we're going through a pandemic, and once again, our armed forces are coming to the forefront. Anytime country goes through any crisis, the whole country looks at the armed forces, and they do a beautiful job. And again, all the airlifting and everything, a lot of great display of valor by the armed forces. So you can, if you'd like, you can comment on this. And from your experience, which has been one of the most toughest times in the army for you? When it was the country was going through a crisis, and you came to the forefront?
Well, when you say the armed forces rises to the occasion, well, they are designed for that. And there's an old saying, which is quite true also, that soldiers and gods are remembered only in tough times. And so, whenever there's a crisis, like there's one now, whether it's floods, whether it's earthquakes, or whether there's any kind of a strike, where the railways is on strike, the police is on a strike, the armed forces have to step in, and they are like the last bastion of support that the government has. Now, such occasions keep coming in our country. And if you were to ask me, which is the most, the incident which left a mark on my mind, well, when you talk of assisting civil authority, then it was the Bombay riots, when the Bombay bomb blasts took place in 1990, I think it was 1993.
93.
2 or 3, yes, when the blast took place in Mumbai, and there was havoc out there, and the army was called in. I happened to be in Pune at that time, and I was also involved in the assistance that was being provided to the Maharashtra state government after these blasts. So that was a very, very trying time. There was also another time during the 1984 Sikh riots, when Indira Gandhi was assassinated. And there were riots in Delhi and all over the country where people went on a rampage and started targeting Sikhs. That was a very trying time. There were course-mates of mine who were pulled out from the train and, killed. And the army then finally came in, and there was restoration. There were army units who were also mutinying. There were Sikh regiments which had, the Jawans had mutinied. So again, the army was in a state where they had to really, really put their might to get the situation under control. So there have been many, many such cases. But I think it's a job, it's a part of our job, and I think we're doing it well.
Yeah, I think you rightly so said that we remember God and forces in times of crisis, but we're all human beings. So how do you sometimes, like, do you really feel very nervous as an army officer, especially when there are a lot of heightened border tensions, with Pakistan or China, as we see in the media? Does it make you personally very nervous in such situations, and what does your family go through? Do they also constantly call you and are extremely nervous in such times?
Well, I can only talk about my family and myself, and I must tell you here that neither me nor my family ever gets nervous about this. It's considered part of life, and I don't remember my wife even once getting nervous that so and so thing has happened, and there's been this incident, and now ab kya hoga and all. No, nothing like that. She's very calm about all this, and so was my mother. My father is also from the army, so he served in the army to all his career, and 3 of my sisters are married to army officers. So truly, we are a very integrated army family, and I don't think anybody gets very excited about these things. Everybody knows what it means and how to deal with it. But what really may make us nervous is when you are employing the army within the country, especially when there's a rioting taking place and the army has been called out, and where the army is to use force against its own citizens. That is nervous, because you may end up, injuring people, because the army is meant to use force. The army is not a police force. The army doesn't use dandas and lathis. The army uses force to maintain discipline. So, for example, when the army is involved in, say, in Srinagar, it's not a good situation for the army to be employed against its own citizens. So that is a nervous situation, because you can end up killing your own people, which is not a good thing. But otherwise, against Pakistan, against China, that's part of our job. We are trained for it. And I think we are adequately prepared for it. So that's really not a point of much concern.
Okay, wonderful. So, what message would you like to give to youngsters who are in the army or are contemplating joining the armed forces?
Well, those who are contemplating to join the armed forces, I would tell them that you must be sure that you are cut out to join the armed forces. Because everybody who wants to join the armed forces thinks it's a very glamorous profession. I want to join the armed forces to serve the nation, and I want to do this and that for the nation. So all that is good. That is your, like they say, aapka janoon hai ye. But you have to be sure that once you join, you are prepared to undergo the hardships that are also part of the army. When you join the army, somebody will have to go and stay in Siachen to protect that territory. Somebody will be in the deserts where the temperatures are touching 52 degrees. Siachen, it is minus 30. Somebody has to be in Srinagar fighting the terrorists who are, trying to dismember our country. And these are the tough things that have to be done. And this is not glamorous. This is real soldiering. The glamour part is what you see, parades going on, salutes being taken, Republic Day parade, Independence Day parade, some marching, beating the retreat and stuff like that. So be sure in your mind that you are prepared for what you want to go in. The army is a great profession. If I was given a chance, I would join the army once again. My father, like I told you, was also in the army. So the army is a great career. It's a great choice. It'll give you opportunities of adventure. It'll give you opportunities to serve the country, and it will give you growth. You'll become a man from a boy when you join the army. For those who are already in the army and those who may not even be wanting to join the army, I want to tell them that each one of us who are human beings, whether you're male, you're female, however old you are, you must have a dream. So have a dream and put in the hard work, put in consistency, focus, and you will be able to realize your dream. So never shy away from what you may want to do. Decide what you want to do and then go for it.
Wonderful. That's a lovely message. So, my final question to you is uh, what would you like to tell our viewers about your fitness mantra? Not just physical fitness, but mental fitness as well. So, a couple of points that you'd like to share that how anybody can be both physically and mentally fit based on your life experience.
Well, everything starts with the mind. And therefore, I keep saying it's always mental endurance and then physical endurance. If you are mentally fit or tough or you have mental endurance, then you will find that anything and everything that you are going to do in your life becomes easy because your life is full of journeys of endurance. And when we talk of endurance, it is something which is not pleasant. That's why you endure it. When you do something pleasant, then you enjoy it. So we are looking at endurance. Now, if you're dealing with a difficult boss in your office, if you have a difficult relationship, if you have elderly parents you have to take care of, even if you have to, interact with teenage children that you might have, everything needs endurance because these are things which are not so easy. You will have anxious moments when you are in such situations. Therefore, like you can develop physical endurance, you can also develop your mental endurance. And there are techniques for it. And I will share a few of them. The rest you can read up. They're all available on the internet and other places. So how do you enhance mental endurance? Firstly, it's not something that you are born with. It's not that you inherit mental endurance. You develop it. Mental endurance can be developed by two things. One is willingness and the other is optimism. Now, what is willingness? You should be willing to accept what is happening. You have a difficult boss at work. You have to be willing that, okay, he's my boss. I have to accept this guy there. First, and you don't keep hoping ये चला जाएगा, इसको मार देते हैं, इसको खत्म कर देते हैं, इसको उठा देते हैं. So if you are in conflict with your boss mentally, then you will never be able to accept the situation. So accept the situation. He's my boss. He's tough. He's this, he's that, whatever his problems are, you have to accept it. And you have to form your defense mechanism in your mind. So acceptance is important. Second is you have to be optimistic that yes, given some time, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, I will be able to get out of this situation, which I have managed to develop this awkward situation with my boss, or this awkward relationship, or this awkward situation like this pandemic. If we accept the pandemic, we also know that in a few months, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, you'll be out of the pandemic. So that is being optimistic. Having said that, you need to develop your mind to do difficult things. If there is a challenge which comes your way, don't brush it under the carpet. Normally what we do is, so that we don't create any turbulence in our life, problem has come, just keep it aside. Don't take care of it. So therefore it is out of the way for some time, but it'll come up again. So if you have a problem coming your way, deal with it immediately. That will develop your mental endurance. You will have to come out of your comfort zone. Brushing it aside keeps you in your comfort zone. So step out of your comfort zone. Always be ready to do things which are difficult. So for example, adventure, travel. This will help you develop endurance, mental endurance, because you're coming out of your comfort zone. One simple example which I talk of, out of your comfort zone is, if you go for a shower and you are going to turn on the hot water because it's cold, before you turn on the hot water, turn on the cold water and stand in that cold shower for 1 minute willingly. Now, when you do that, you are challenging your mind, because it's a mind game. People go and have cold water baths even in the midst of winter. You must have read of sannyasis doing it, this guy doing it, that guy. Do it yourself and see, and that will develop your mental endurance. You will be able to withstand that cold and enhance mental endurance. So like this, there are many techniques as far as mental endurance is concerned. And then, of course, you have physical endurance. And physical endurance is something that you have to work on. Your nourishment has to be right. Your training has to be right. So there are a whole lot of techniques. I can go on that if we have time, but I think there's a lot available if you research. And physical endurance can be developed, and you're all aware that people have developed it. And so that's the way to go.
That's very wonderfully answered. And I must say, I've taken many interviews, but this has been one of the most inspiring ones for me. And I have so much gratitude that you came in today, gave us this time, and it's just been a wonderful experience to talk to you. Thank you so much, Major General, for this interaction today.
Thank you, Tanya. It's been a pleasure being here and talking to you. And I hope your audiences also can take away some good tips from what I could manage to convey to them. I wish you all the best.
Most
good luck.
So much to learn from your life and your sayings. Yeah, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you like this video, then don't forget to hit the thumbs up. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right here so that you don't miss any of the amazing content that I'm putting out there for you. Thank you so much for watching. Keep watching. Shukriya.